Welcome to Read Your Comics, and I'm on week 11 of the Age of Apocalypse. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Daryl. I am the host of Read Your Comics, and I am doing a week-by-week read-through of the Age of Apocalypse for the 30th anniversary. So each week, I'm looking at the books that would have come out 30 years ago in 1995. And here we are in the third week of March. If you missed any of the previous episodes, I do have a playlist for it. You can find it right there. As always, all your likes, comments, and shares are much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel or just haven't done so already, please hit subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. While you're at it, go ahead and hit like now so you don't forget when the video is over. So technically, this book would have come out last week, but I already had two to cover, and for the sake of videos, I didn't want to do a week of just X-Calibre, so I brought Generation Next into this week. So technically, this one is 30 years and a week old. And for that reason, we'll look at it first. Chris Bachalo doing the cover and interiors, of course. This cover doesn't jump out to me that much right off the bat. I feel like this is Mondo, and he has the ability to kind of like shape shift into like scenery. He can be like brick walls or mud walls and things of that nature. And that's what's happening here, but I don't think Bachalo did the best job of demonstrating that on the cover. He does a fantastic job as we get inside, but it just looks like a big hulking figure smashing through a brick wall, right? Dynamics and perspective of the scene are, fine. I like the pattern on the bottom of these shoes. They're flip-flops the more I look at them. I thought they were just like boots, but now I'm seeing his toes sticking up. So they're actually kind of like flip-flops. Mark Buckingham is the inker, and I like how they do one of those like combined signatures of Crucky to sign off on it together. One of the things I love about Chris Bachalo is a lot of times when they on the credits pages, he finds a way to work it into the scenery. And in this case, they did it as if this is like marker graffiti on a pipe. I thought that was a pretty clever way. It kind of blends in, but doesn't blend in so much that you completely overlook it, and it doesn't detract from the overall image. So we start out with Chamber and Skin. They've infiltrated this, I think they just call it the pit or something, or the core. It's one of just Apocalypse's many work camps, I guess you might want to call them, where they throw humans and disobedient mutants alike, I guess, into these pits to do, slave labor. And one thing Bachalo does in this that none of the other artists in this whole event so far is he makes some truly monstrous mutants like this guy. I mean, this isn't a character that's, pulled over from the normal X-Men continuity. This is just an excuse to draw a big three-headed mutant. And it's crazy looking. I mean, look at those heads. It's got like dinosaur spikes going down as the top of one of its heads, all the piercings. And this is a big, stage setting scene of what is like a factory almost. Or it's kind of a quarry, because you can kind of see like the levels being dug down here, and they do end up underground. And all of these humans, they're each carrying one boulder. When one of the guards spots interaction going on over here, an unsanctioned interaction, and he opens his third eye, so another kind of more grotesque mutation that Bachalo got to do. But face piercings there. This is 95, so this stuff is not quite as common as we see today. I like the padded uniforms that these guards are wearing too. It's very consistent, and it bends and is pliable to their bodies, their body shapes. Notice this guy too is not some like muscular, in shape looking dude like most of the guards and mutants we've seen in all the other books. This guy's kind of overweight, but he's a mutant, so he's superior to the humans. He opens up his eye, and we see it's a father and a daughter, and they're saying, "No, take it. No, you take it." And he uses his eye and blasts them, which Chamber is not thrilled with that. He's pretty irritated. The girl says he was just trying to give me his last ration of food. We hadn't eaten in 3 days, and he had a little food. He was trying to give it to me. You didn't have a right to do that. He says, I don't need rights. I'm a mutant. And of course, she rebels and throws a rock at him. And he's up here on this balcony, so she can't really get to him. It's not like he jumped down and did this. He used this third eye power to do this from a distance, but he does it again. And he blows up the ground, and the girl goes falling off the side of the quarry there. And man, Chambers about to lose it. He's willing to blow their cover to make this right. And Skin has to rein him in. Look at Skin's fingers as he like stretches to cover up Chambers' mouth. Now, Chamber decided to, well, I guess he doesn't shoot it out of his mouth. I'm thinking of him like he is in the regular universe. It's kind of his whole chest cavity and mouth area. That he blasts his power from, but really he has like some kind of harness in his chest that just blasts it out of his chest in this world. And you notice like the dialogue box for Chamber, it changes, because in this he can have like a normal dialogue box, but when his mouth is covered, he can still use his like psychic energy or whatever to talk, which is pretty much how he communicates in the regular timeline. So Skin convinces him, like, look, man, we're going to get our chance, but it's not right now. We've got a mission to do, and if we jump out of line and blow our cover here, the mission's shot. It's over. And Chambers says, but I can't just accept them getting away with murder. Who said anything about getting away with it? But when we take a stand, it's going to be one we can win, amigo. Meanwhile, here's the guy back up on the balcony, and all of a sudden, the balcony starts to come loose and fall. And he's thinking it's almost like the balcony's alive, like it's trying to throw me off. And he's saying out loud to himself, I think I can climb back on. I think. And then you see this face. You can't. Nope. And he falls to his death. Next time, don't kill innocent. So it's Mondo who's blended in with the wall. And I guess this is the scene from the cover. So instead of like breaking into bricks and stuff, Mondo just lets the balcony go. I mean, he becomes part of the wall, like turns into it. And he's just going to let the balcony fall down. Remember this character, Quietus, that Paige and Vicente had killed in the last issue, and now Husk is inside of his skin, and Vicente, who turns into like gas, is filling out the rest of the skin. And he's like a upper management guy for this factory. I think they're generating energy or something is what this factory's purpose is. I mean, it just seems like a quarry, though. But anyway, I love this design. I probably said it last time. It is a Slash from Guns N' Roses minus the top hat and put him in a funny-looking suit. But, I mean, the hair and everything, that's got to be who it was modeled after. You see these little swirlies and stuff. That's the little details and stuff that Bachalo is so good at. And this around here, I mean, it looks like smoke from the cigar, but I think this is Vicente who's in his gaseous form. So this is like the dude's secretary usually. And Vicente comes out into this cloud of smoke. And they had hoped to find some kind of documentation about Illyana, because that is their purpose here, to save her from the depths of the pits. And they couldn't find it at his house, so they had to take the chance to come into his office to find it. And as they're snooping around, she starts to get out of the husk that she's in. As they're snooping around, they get a visitor, and it's the real boss of the area, the Sugar Man. And the Sugar Man is nice and monstrous. He looks like Humpty Dumpty with 4 arms. And we only saw him in a silhouette in the last issue. So this is the first time we're kind of getting a bigger look at him. And lots of little fine details, the belt buckles. He's got some kind of hammer. It almost looks like Thor's hammer. All the buttons and stuff. He's wearing rings. I mean, again, I'm just always blown away by how much detail Bachalo puts into anything he does, but these issues in particular. So he's curious as to where Quietus is, and he goes and finds Quietus. He sees him taking a shower in his office. Fortunately, he had a shower in his office. And of course, it's really Husk and Vicente, and they're trying to fool the Sugar Man, because this is where they're in deep, right? And you see him right here, like this little gun's gonna do something to the Sugar Man. And they're talking about how there's reports that somebody is trying to break into the core. And he's like, and the Sugar Man laughs at the thought of that, but he's like, well, you go figure it out. I'll talk to you later. And then for some reason, I guess the adrenaline of the danger they're in, Husk wants to get with Vicente here, even though she says, I love Chamber, but this may be our last stand. So she wants to get a little lovin'. Another nice set piece here with this big circular tunnel as these two guards, I guess this must be like a drawbridge to enter the core. And these are two of the guards. One of them's like, do you ever feel bad for the people in there? I kind of do sometimes. This guy's like, nope, I don't. And then we get to meet Shadowcat and Colossus for this issue. And a lot of this these inner narration, I think it's Skin. The color of it, it's not them, but it's Skin saying how, they would have done anything to follow Colossus, even though in that first issue, I mean, he was pretty hard on him, but I guess maybe it was like tough love and they appreciated that. And they're a little worried that when push comes to shove, who's getting shoved and who's getting pushed. Colossus's outfit here, I mean, he's like working man with the skull cap, bandana, the scarf, and the I guess they're trying to infiltrate it so once they get inside, they can kind of blend in and look like workers or guards or something. We never see Colossus in his human form here. I think he permanently stays in his steel form. Here's Illyana down in the bowels of the quarry, and she's talking to a woman named May. And my initial thought is this Aunt May? I don't know. But kind of looks like her, maybe, or she's just an old woman who also happens to be named May. They never make any like determine other than saying her name is May. She never says like I missed my nephew Peter or anything of that nature. Here another poor innocent girl gets shoved by one of these guards. See, here's that uniform again. And this time Mondo catches her. I guess this looks more like the cover. See, before he had like the bricks and stuff shaped into him, but here he's looking more like just a figure coming through the brick as opposed to being part of the brick. And he catches the girl. They have an interesting thing where she's like, "Are you a mutant? Mutants are bad." He says, "Not Mondo. Mondo is good." Then the scene changes from Mondo to one of these guards being blasted, and it's the same guard I think here, but they're on like a higher level. Mondo's like way down here, and now up here we're gonna see Chamber and Skin, who are taking it out on pushing the girl off the side. So they're kind of close to each other, but I don't think they know exactly where each other is. And look who shows up. It's Paige and Vicente, and they are, of course, in their disguise. I love how big it's like anytime he wants to put this character on the page, there's a big panel just to show how large that character is. And look at the size of that head, too. That's what I'm saying. Like, Bachalo really took advantage of this world to make some monstrous mutants and not just, you know, super buff, superhero style or supervillain style guys that maybe look a little different. I mean, he went the extra mile to make them truly look like mutations. So basically, they are saying, "Yeah, it's us. We're getting together." But then they hear the Sugar Man coming, and she has to knock them out and pretend like she caught them as traitors. And then we get a status report from the M character, who they call something else here. No, they call her Know It All in this. And she's basically saying that she knows where everybody is inside the facility, and Mondo is close to Illyana, but that's 1.6 miles underground. Kitty notes that it took a big risk just for Know It All to reach out to him, and maybe we should know. The students understood the risk when they took the assignment. Our only priority is securing my sister for the fate of the world. Nothing else is important. And that's a pretty heavy statement there from Colossus. What does it mean? Look at this shot too. Some of this gets a little lost in the coloring, I think. But again, the details of all the different mutants in the background, they're so they're so grotesque. You've got Sugar Man looking large himself. There he is, kind of smacking his hammer into his hand. the Sugar Man is already on to it. He knows something's not right with Quietus here. Says, you go ahead and kill him. It's you found him. You get the honor to do it. And she's like, yeah, sure, right away. When all of a sudden Sugar Man grabs her hand and says, why aren't you just going to use your power to do it? Why waste my power on these two? That, and I have no idea what Quietus's power even is. So, fatal flaw there. You're going to impersonate somebody and you don't even know what their power is to try to imitate it. Cut back to Mondo, and Mondo is convincing the girl that he can't take her right now, but he promises he'll come back when all of a sudden he sees Illyana, and he goes over and basically like sucks Illyana up. And there's a better look at May in the corner. Finally, they're saying that Know-It-All says that Mondo has Illyana, but where he takes her inside of him, the more he uses his powers, it could digest her. So time is of the essence. So now it's time for Colossus and Kitty to don just to drop the robes and use Kitty's power to phase in through the wall and go in to attack. Which, where did she go? Where did Kitty go? She's on his back there, but she's nowhere there. Huh. Unless she's inside him to make him phase. And he looks just huge too. Finally, we get back to Chamber, and Sugar Man reiterates, go ahead and kill him. Yes, sir. You hear the clack, and you just see a blam, and we're left with the cliffhanger going into the final issue of the Generation Next series. So, this series moving along pretty well. It's the Chris Bachalo art. I think some of the other books so far have already kind of wrapped up at least one mission, and Generation Next is spending its whole time on this one mission. And I think I forgot to mention it is Scott Lobdell doing the writing on this. Not as fast paced as the other books, but I think the Bachalo art really makes up for it on this one. Switching over to X-Calibre with a Jay Lee cover this month. First time we're getting that out of this event. And I'm going to say on the front end, this is a book, I'm enjoying the storyline of this book, but Warren Ellis is writing it, and that's consistent, but the art has been completely inconsistent. Like, the first issue was Ken Lashley, the second one was Roger Cruz, and I think somebody else assisting. Ken Lashley's back for this one, but now we get a cover from Jay Lee. X-Calibre has to be the most inconsistent as far as art goes. I'm going to assume there were like deadline issues happening with this that somebody wasn't able to keep up. Well, we're getting a solid Jay Lee cover here. And I wouldn't even put this in like the upper echelon of Jay Lee covers, but maybe it was even kind of dashed out quickly just to stay on schedule. Only one that gives us a recap page again. So, that's a Warren Ellis idea that Marvel would eventually adopt across the board. Got a sideways page. Ken Lashley back to give us some 90s sideways stuff. And this is just Nightcrawler and Mystique reuniting. They're going full on with the whole mother-son thing. And I think this is just a new revelation, like fully confirmed revelation in X-Men at the time. It was hinted at for a while, but of course, once Claremont left, they just started like confirming a lot of this stuff that Claremont just wanted to sprinkle out over time. Callisto, who was the head of this ship in the last issue, has now been thrown into the bodies that the ship had run aground on at the end of the last issue. And for a mother-son, this seems just like, I don't know, their body positions and the way Mystique is drawn here. It's more like a relationship than mother-son to me here. I don't know. It was kind of weird in that sense because they are saying mother, hello, son. Nightcrawler asks how she found him, and she said she wasn't looking for him, but the ship had already killed a couple of transports that she was expecting to take to Avalon, and it was bad for business, as she said. And as they fly away Mystique's ship, we see another cloaked ship off to the side that has Damask, who's some kind of high-level assassin or something for Apocalypse. We met her last issue. She had just killed Danny Moonstone, who had been torturing Dead Man Wade or Deadpool in this world, and now they're off to follow Mystique. But first, we got to stop by Mystique's Antarctic castle that she lives in, where her and Nightcrawler are going to have a discussion about destiny, why Mystique doesn't ever go to Avalon, what she's coy about. She doesn't really answer any of those questions. Nightcrawler does slap her for trying to ignore him, bamps in front of her and slaps her while she's here to get some weapons. And the most you get out of her is her saying that she doesn't deserve to go to Avalon for some reason. It's not my fault. Quick cut. I mean, this jumps to the boat we saw at the beginning of, I believe it was the first issue. This boat that's traveling through a cave to take Nightcrawler to Avalon, where they meet Juggernaut, or Marco as they just call him in this. And it is Mystique in the cloak there, which I guess it was her in the first issue too. She's the one that carries people there. She wants to know why Destiny's not there to meet her, and he says Irene is frail these days, and so I'm the one that comes. And she says, okay, you can move all this stuff. So this issue moves pretty quickly. And kind of like in the first issue, they go on a little journey where Marco tells a story about his dead brother, Charles, and Nightcrawler says it's stupid. Nightcrawler thinks it's stupid, the story he's telling. But I guess you would think Nightcrawler would know who Charles Xavier is because of Magneto and all that baggage he carries around for Xavier. He has pictures of Xavier up and stuff, but maybe Nightcrawler's just not making the connection between it being Charles Xavier and the guy that Magneto idolizes as well. So in here, though, Marco also expresses how he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy, and that he's changed. So he's a pacifist now, and he's taken an oath to be a pacifist and stuff. He doesn't say that explicitly, but that's what he's pretty much hinting at here, is that he's changed his ways. He feels regret and remorse for all of the damage he's caused in the past, and that's kind of his status quo now. We didn't get that in the last issue. Here's Destiny looking like DC's Destiny right there, and her son, or adopted son, Douglas, who is Cypher from the New Mutants from before. So it's almost like they're just throwing a character in. I don't know what role he really plays here other than to be an adopted son, but for it to be him, just kind of being thrown in, I think, for an extra cameo. And there's not like animosity between these two. She's actually kind of like, oh, have you finally decided you can come? Who else is running the ship now? And Mystique says, I'm actually not here to stay. I need you to come with us. And she doesn't say anything. She just leads them to Avalon, and they're like, oh, wow, how pretty this is and everything. But like, seriously, Magneto needs your help. He could probably change the whole world, but he needs your help, yada, yada. And she introduces her to Switchback. And now in the first issue, we met, this is the character that Mystique, we didn't know it was Mystique, but Mystique was dropping off of that boat at the beginning. And as she went through her journey to get to Avalon, and she met Destiny, and when Destiny touched her, she got visions of Avalon and flames and burning, and Apocalypse was there and all that stuff. And her vision was basically that they were all going to die. And to fulfill that vision, now we get Deadpool, or Dead Man Wade, and Damask. And look at her face. She's in shock of this place. And even Deadpool's like, this place is alive. And she's like, what? It's teeming with life. There's bugs, there's green leaves, everything. He says, it's all alive. And being alive stinks. Let's go kill it, Damask. And now she's distraught. She says, I didn't know the world could be like this. Nobody told me. So this assassin, who has these weird little pink blade things all over, not the greatest design of this character, and I don't think she has a counterpart in the main timeline either, at least one that I know of. There is a character called Damask that I think is newer, but this particular character I don't think exists in the main timeline. More just trying to convince Destiny that she needs to come with them. And a lot of these characters that are being asked to make these changes, they have their own lives. Like in this case, she's like, I have this adopted son that will change if we go change the timeline or whatever. Magneto's going through the same thing. He has a son named Charles as well. So we're getting a lot of that. Even though the world's awful, it's the world these people know, and they're like, do I want to just erase our existence in favor of something that I don't know what it is, if it even is possible? And as they get attacked, here they're asking Juggernaut to help. Like, you need to help. He says, I cannot be harmed, and tells him where he saw the grenade come from. Nightcrawler's yelling at him to help, and like, he can't, and he just like collapses and hits the ground. And he says, Charles. So kind of corny there. His hand feels like it's just kind of plastered on there. And the explanation is it must have been that unstoppable urge to murder and the unflinching resolve not to caused him to have an aneurysm. And even Mystique says, let's move on from your amateur psychology, son. We've got to take care of this. I mean, the Deadpool character looks kind of neat here. I mean, is he better or worse with the mask, right? He's more intimidating, more frightening. But good expressions on her letting you know she's about to do this. She turns on him. She thinks this place is awesome and doesn't want to see it destroyed. So she goes to stab him in the neck. And he says, I can't die. I'll just regenerate. What are you doing? And Nightcrawler steps in, grabs his head, and bamfs away, leaving a headless body behind. And earlier in this series, we saw him do that to somebody's finger. We didn't realize that was foreshadowing for him to kill Deadpool by teleporting away with his head. And that kind of makes me think, if he were to do that to Wolverine with the adamantium skeleton, would it work? Would it pull the head off of like the jointed bones are together? I guess could Nightcrawler kill Wolverine if he really wanted to? Another sideways page, of course, too. Had to turn it up. Had to turn it around to get a better look at how this all played out. Kind of bloodless. I mean, this was still under the comics code. It was still mainstream comics. These were still sold on spinner racks at the time. So they couldn't go full on showing this. So, like this with the Bamf, it seemed like there could have been a better way to demonstrate this. It's hard to even make out that this is a body in some ways. And then it falls here. No blood, nothing, but still pretty brutal move by Nightcrawler. And then they're going to go on their, and Damask comes to him and says like, hey, I'm switching sides if you'll have me. And they're like, well, we need all the help we can get in this moment. So they're going to let her join up for this last hurrah as we move into the final month of these two titles. So not a bad month. I enjoy what's going on with X-Calibre. I don't think the art is the best. Even Ken Lashley returning, some good qualities, but some kind of vanilla, like extremism, 90s extremist happening there. I wouldn't say it stands out particularly, especially when you're looking at it in the same week with a Chris Bachalo book. Kind of hurts it as well. They had gotten Jay Lee to do this book. Man, that would have been top notch if they had done that. But that's it for this week. Hope you're enjoying the series. Until next time, read your comics. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my breakdown of this issue, you can support the channel by hitting subscribe. It costs you nothing and helps other comic fans find the channel. You can also visit readyourcomics.com for cool merch, like this. Read Your Comics isn't just a brand, it's a mantra. And when you wear a Read Your Comics shirt, you are helping spread the word. For more classic comics conversation, be sure to follow me on Instagram at read.your.comics. And if you're still here, why not watch one of my older videos? Here or here.